And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of the Hagman and Hagman Report. Our guest this segment, Jack Posobiec. You know Jack Posobiec. He is the author. A new book, Citizens for Trump. If you don't have it, you got to get it. This guy is a tremendous author. This guy's on fire, okay? Jack Posobiec, he's on fire. And if that name rings a bell, well, it was last week, the Shakespeare play, if that's what you want to call it. I don't know. Is Shakespeare, the bastardization of Shakespeare, more appropriately? He was the gentleman in the audience, the male half of the male-female Laura Loomer went up on stage, and Jack Posobiec, of course, was in the audience and made some statements. But this is who we have on, Jack Posobiec. Welcome, sir, to the Hagman. Welcome back to the Hagman Report.
Hey, it's great to be here, guys. How are you? That play, Julius Caesar. So what they did, it was a Trump assassination play, all right? And the left is trying to hide their hand in this by saying, oh, it was just a staging of Julius Caesar with a contemporary politician, had nothing to do with, specifically about killing Trump. No. The rhetoric on the left, the context we've seen for the last 2 years from this side has been mayhem, death, and destruction. There's been actual violence. It's an assassination attempt just last week in Alexandria, Virginia. And then we saw the ISIS propaganda-like video of Kathy Griffin, the former CNN host, decapitating the president. And in the wake of all that, to have this play, supposedly, Shakespearean, but they changed a lot of the lines. They changed the whole thing so that it's about Melania and President Trump. And then the denouement of the performance is that they all stab over and over again the president to death up on the stage, and it's bloody, it's gory, it's like we're talking Quentin Tarantino level of blood and gore, like something out of Reservoir Dogs. And so myself and my friend Laura Loomer, we decided to do something about it. So we got tickets to the play, and we caused a little disruption. Laura actually ran up on the stage yelling, and she was yelling about the normalization of political violence in America today. And then I'm in the stands filming, and I started yelling, the blood of Steve Scalise is on your hands. And I said, Goebbels would be proud, that level of propaganda and that level of twisting the narrative.
Indeed. And I caught Laura on Sean Hannity, and of course, understood where she was coming from. Did she plan well, I'll just ask this. Did you both plan that out, working in concert with one another?
Well, we didn't plan it together. Both Laura and I know each other. We're friends, but we actually didn't plan to be there together. And what had ended up happening was there was a contest going on from Mike Cernovich that calling for disruptions, and we both just sort of ended up going the same night. Then again, the night after that and the final night, there were, I think, 3 more disruptions of people going, folks from the Proud Boys, that's Gavin McInnes's organization, and then some people that are from the Gateway Pundit with Jim Hoft actually went.
Interesting.
And they went and did the same thing. Patriots storming the gates.
Interesting. Well, I personally, I think that is the right thing to do, because normally I just think it's the right thing to do. If you understand, if people understand what is taking place with, exactly right, the normalization of the assassination, the violence, the political left, it's just incredible. So I'm behind you 100%. But let's put that aside for a minute. You've got a new book out, just came out, a week and a half ago, Citizens for Trump, the inside story of the people's movement to take back America. Let's talk about that. I bet you're proud
I appreciate
of that.
you bringing it up. I do. So I was the special projects director of the organization Citizens for Trump all throughout the election, throughout 2016. We were the largest grassroots organization for Trump in the country. I went all around the country. I went to Trump rallies. I went to Hillary rallies. I went to Tim Kaine. I would call them gatherings more than rallies when it was Tim Kaine. Even Hillary, hers were more like, sewing circles rather than, a rally. They're crowd size there. I wouldn't quite call it a rally. But then as we got closer to the election, we launched the Operation MAGA 3X, flash mobs around the country, crashing Hillary events, Obama, all the Clintons were there. And this book is telling the story of that. And then on election day itself, uncovering uncovering a lot of electioneering in Philadelphia, all the way jumping towards election night, being there in New York City, seeing what it was like at that party. And then I actually jump forward a little bit into 2017, and I tell the story of the Deplorable and the violence, the rise of Antifa violence that we saw that night. And the book actually ends with Trump being inaugurated president. So it tells the story of the campaign through the eyes of somebody who lived it on the ground, in the streets. And I get into behind the scenes stuff too. I talk about stuff that Roger Stone and I were working on together. I talk about the time that the GOP was trying to get Trump to actually drop out of the race. I think that story hasn't really been told in any of the books that have been written yet. So I decided to take it upon myself to tell that story.
I had someone email me and accuse me of not reading as many books as I read. I read your book, and I do read all the books that I talk about. And I've got to tell you, reading your book, it's kind of like looking into. I felt like I was reading your journal, or a journal, I should say.
Well, a lot of it was, sort of like I was going back to old emails. I was going back to old notes from conference calls during the campaign that I saved everything. I'm like James Comey, but I'm a patriot instead of whatever he is. So we've got the Posobiec memos, and that's what turned into this book.
I love it.
In the campaign, if you can get into what are some of the what are your favorite moments of the campaign, covering it from the Trump side? Any good turning points? Or
I would say, for me, probably the most dramatic moment. Hang on a second. I would say for me, probably the most dramatic, turning point of the campaign would have been the Access Hollywood tapes and the whole drama that played out that weekend. The drama that played out with that's when they were trying to get him to drop out of the race, and they said, you're not going to win. You don't have any possibility of achieving this. Trump goes to the people. We held a flash mob right outside Trump Tower to let him know that, sir, the people are still with you. We're not going to stand up for this stuff. We're not going to listen to the mainstream media, and we're not going to make non-issues into issues. And then the turning around of Trump's, kind of playing into it and saying, I'm going to give this big press conference before the second debate. If you remember, it was the same weekend. And the rumors that somebody was leaking to the media was that Trump was going to plan to resign, actually plan to drop out and not have the debate. And so that rumor was being sent to the media. So they all come into this press conference. They literally walk into the room thinking it's going to be this huge historic event. All the mainstream media is there. The cameras are rolling. They walk in, and what is it? It's Donald Trump sitting there with the women who have accused Bill Clinton and Hillary of sexual assault. It's Juanita Broderick, it's Paula Jones, it's Kathy Shelton, and they're all sitting right there, and the media was forced to cover it. And Trump just said, I'm here because I support these wonderful women.
Wow. That had to be, wow. Okay. By the way, folks, Jack Posobiec is our guest. His book, Citizens for Trump, the inside story on the people's movement to take back America. I read it. I love it. It really is an insight, kind of a close quarters insight, like reading someone else's diary almost, or a journal, into the campaign through the eyes of our guest, Jack Posobiec.
And Jack, let me ask you this. You just gave a great example of what some call Trump trolling the media. Do you think he's been doing a good job since he's been inaugurated, continuing to do just that?
I wish he would do more of it, to be honest. I think he hasn't been doing enough of it. There's so many people that are saying Trump should tweet less. I completely disagree. I think you should be tweeting more. I think you should be doing more of these trolls. I think one of the great examples of that, there's two that I can think of that he's done since he was inaugurated that I thought were absolutely fantastic. The first one, it wasn't quite as big, but it made me laugh a lot, was when he tweeted the one morning that anyone who's a U.S. flag burner should be put in prison, right? And the media just went off. They went crazy. They said, how dare you? You First Amendment, you can't say that. And then the entire day, they just complained about his tweet. And he just went off and was like working on legislation, working on executive orders. And he never was pushing any sort of policy about that. But he knew that would trigger these leftists so much that he just went and did it. Secondly, was the Trump tax returns that were sent to Rachel Maddow, MSNBC, and she was hyping this up like it was going to be, oh my gosh, the second coming of Christ, the Holy Grail, we've got it. It's it's the Trump tax returns, and they go and open it, and they find, oh, by the way, he actually paid more in taxes than anyone on the Democrat Party, even most Republicans, and he's been paying his taxes not only at a legal clip, but probably even more so than. And then they finally drill down, and a couple days later, they find where were the tax returns sent from? Oh, by the way, they were sent from Trump Tower. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and the little countdown clock on the side. I actually had in my office. I had recorded that because we were doing the program. In fact, we might even comment on it live. But nonetheless, it was great. Al Capone's vault, Geraldo Rivera. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Jack, biggest problem that Donald Trump has today, I believe, are the inside enemies inside the circle. Your thoughts?
No, you're absolutely right. And so what we've got in the White House is this sort of infusion of RNC types, these never Trumpers people who came in from the Hill, these staffers that were not part of the Trump campaign. They were not part of the Trump movement. They came in, and now they've got these positions within the White House. And even if they're not actively working against the Trump, that are actually leaking classified information to the media. You've got people that are leaking inside information. Just find two more of these leakers. If you go to the website, got news. Chuck Johnson posted the article, and it's these low-level staffers every time because the head of Office of Personnel for the White House is this guy Johnny DeStefano. He's a former John Boehner staffer. He drove around John Boehner's golf cart for many years, as a matter of fact. That's where he comes from. So he finds himself installed by Reince Priebus, and he's putting all of these staff roles, instead of finding people that were part of the American First Agenda, part of the Trump campaign, he's going around and finding other just your run-of-the-mill RNC staffers that'll do as they're told and putting them in the White House, where they're at best ineffective at pushing the Trump agenda and at worst actively working to obstruct it.
That's a fantastic point. The one thing that's plagued this administration so far is the leaks. Is the White House or the Justice Department, anybody any closer to finding the source of many of these leaks that are coming internally from the White House?
We're finding and stopping.
We are, and so we're combating them as best we can. See, the problem is the leaks typically come from the low-level staffers. So they'll have, somebody for a congressman. There was at one point a congressman for Lindsey Graham, a staffer for Lindsey Graham, who was his senatorial liaison to the White House. We found out that she was leaking information that she got from the White House. It's kind of like back in the day during Nixon and Watergate. They would have these staffers that would go in, they would sit down and they would just walk into Henry Kissinger's office or whatever it was, write up whatever they had, and then go and fax it over to the Department of Defense, fax it over to the Joint Chiefs, fax it over to CIA. And so they could know exactly what all of the president's members were up to, all the cabinet was up to on any daily basis. So that's what we're seeing now in the Trump administration is even his own staffers. Even if we clean that all up, these liaisons, people coming in and out of the White House, they're also leaking. So what we've got to do is twofold. Number one, we've got to go after the leakers and make examples of them, punish them, shame them, put them out, fire them when possible. If it's classified, absolutely, there should be prosecution for that because that is a federal crime under the Espionage Act. Secondly, what we've got to do is find the people that are coordinating these leaks. Find the people, the senators, the congressmen, whether it's Reince Priebus who's pushing it, find them and explain to them what is going to be done unless these leaks stop.
Yeah, and I wonder if the Trump administration was employing any strategies, disinformation strategies, trying to fish out the leaks through disinformation, but we haven't really seen much of that. But I guess you got to be careful at the same time, have it coming from the White House. I guess let's move forward here. The Mueller obstruction of justice probe, and the media has just gone, off the rails with this thing. All this, huff and puff, no evidence whatsoever. And now we find out that Mueller has all these ties to the Clintons, is hiring all these Clinton donors and former former lawyers. Any concern from the White House and that they're going to even manufacture something. Obviously, there's nothing there to come up with. But what's your thoughts on the obstruction charges that they're flaming around with?
So my sources within the White House and the Department of Justice, they have told me that they have a serious concern with the breadth and bandwidth that Mueller is taking with this thing. Is he was given a mandate to look into Russian hacking of the election and has turned it into some sort of witch hunt against President Trump. And so what they're looking to do now is, because obviously the optics from a political analysis standpoint would be very bad if the president was trying to shut down an investigation. Not to say that he's not within his legal rights to do so, as Alan Dershowitz has stated. Certainly not a member of the alt-right, Mr. Alan Dershowitz, I might add. But what we're also seeing now from the White House is they're pointing out that there is already evidence of obstruction of justice, but it's not from the Trump administration. It's from Loretta Lynch, the former AG, who was putting pressure on James Comey to shut down the investigation of the Clinton emails. We're also now hearing that the Department of State is reopening a reinvestigation into the Clinton emails. So I think all of the pieces, the ingredients are there for the White House to call for a special counsel into essentially Hillary Clinton and Loretta Lynch, and to say, look, using your same standard of a special counsel for, Team Trump, there should also be a special counsel for Team Clinton and possibly Loretta Lynch, which gives you Team Obama as well. So to basically say, look, if you guys keep pushing us, we will start calling for this and demand that you name one. So either you stick to the facts, or there's going to be more and more and more investigations on both sides.
And I think that's going to be my next question is, we've seen so much of what Comey did and how he basically defended Hillary Clinton, Huma Abedin, how he continued to, and after the election, said that, they're good people, we're not going after them. I see a lot of people complaining that there isn't an ongoing investigation into Comey's actions with Hillary Clinton. And if, as you just said, if it was held to the same standards, she would be in a lot of trouble. Any inside knowledge or plans on actually launching investigations into with the new FBI director?
I can say that, and I'm putting this out there the way that it was told to me. Okay, last week I got a single source report, and single source reports, that means I heard it from one person. I didn't hear it from anybody else yet, but it was a single source report where someone reached out to me, someone who is very deep within the Department of Justice, basically telling me that. And again, that's why I'm giving all these corollaries beforehand, because I'm not, 100%, I gotta say 50% probability on this, because it's not a source that I've worked with a lot in the past, but 50% chance that what he said was the Podesta investigation is open, that there is an open investigation into John Podesta, an active investigation into his dealings, and as a matter of fact, that it may involve ties to Cuba. And that was right around the time that President Trump went to Little Havana and gave his Cuba speech that I was handed this report from that source.
I can confirm this, Jack, not to interrupt you. Really? I can tell you, I heard this on Thursday of last week.
Really?
Yes.
All right, well, we've got some corroboration there. That's good.
Yeah, I'm not sure what day you heard this. I heard this.
It was the same day as the speech. Was that Thursday?
I don't know.
Right.
In fact, Joe's going to look. And Podesta, yes. Okay. So now Joe's going to look about the date, but this is really interesting. The fact that this is, okay, it was Friday. So
yeah, we didn't coordinate this. I haven't talked to you about this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, his speech was Friday, so the 16th, and I heard this on.
Okay.
I could tell you right now, it was.
And I caught a mention of it, but I didn't hear from a source so I don't know. I saw that
it was the 15th. Mine was the 15th, okay. Right before showtime. So I don't know. And it was
very.
I could source this out to a very reliable inside source within well, I'll just leave it at that. But okay, so this looks, because what the hell? That's my thought about Hillary Clinton and about all these people that haven't been perp walked yet and need to be perp walked.
Yeah, and I think from a political standpoint, the president understands and AG Sessions understands that given the highly scandalous nature of what that group was going up to, as well as the highly politicized environment that we're in right now, that they want to make sure that they have their case completely airtight before they start going public with any of this stuff, before charges start coming down. I mean, they can convene a grand jury in sort of in secret, but even then there's a chance of that leaking out. So what I would imagine is they're doing everything they can, and believe me, if the FBI wants to keep an investigation quiet, they know how to keep it quiet very, very well. I know that for firsthand from my times I collaborated with them when I was in the Navy, on different things. I was in intelligence, but yeah, these guys, if they do have an investigation open, they're going to keep it very, very quiet until the day charges are filed.
That's right. Now, Jack, you're going to be speaking at the rally against political violence on June 25th, correct?
That's right. I'm holding the rally. We've got Roger Stone coming out. It's sponsored by Cernovich Media, Mike Cernovich. We're going to have Cassandra Fairbanks. We're going to have Anna Kate from Survivor is coming. We are potentially reaching out to Corey Stewart from Virginia to come by, and a ton of other people, ton of other patriots that want to come out. I've also, because it's not a political rally, and most of my Rolodex, obviously is on the right, but I've also extended an invitation not only to Hillary Clinton and CNN's Jake Tapper, who both live in D.C. in the Kalorama neighborhood, but I'm also inviting the entire cast of Julius Caesar to come and stand with us against political violence and political violent rhetoric in all of its forms. This Sunday, noon at the White House.
That's marvelous. I wonder if you'll get an RSVP back from the cast of Shakespeare. Yeah.
I think they're coming. They're all going to be there, definitely. Yes.
Interesting. Wow. And so this is D.C., June 25th, and of course we're going to put a link up in the program description, and so people. What time is that on Sunday?
Right at noon on Sunday.
Not noon. Okay.
Probably run about 2 hours.
All right. Sounds good. All right. We got about 3 minutes left with you. Citizens for Trump: The Inside Story of the People's Movement, Take Back America. That's your book, just out. By the way, the trolls are really out. Slamming the 1 stars on Amazon. But I'm going to tell you, this is a great book, folks. It's like a journal insight into.
Yeah, it's funny. So what I found out was that. When David Brock and all of his people found out that I had a book out, they went and put some money into Share Blue. Share Blue is their organization that hires essentially these paid trolls to go and do stuff. So they go and dropped a bunch of 1-star reviews on my book, which I actually think is really funny because, wow, I made them that upset. You'll go read it and be like, this guy is Russian. I can't believe his book is in English, because we all know he's Russian. It's such cracking me up. So because but Amazon actually has a way to check for that. I didn't realize this is my first book, but on Amazon, when you go to Citizens for Trump and look at the reviews, you can actually view reviews by verified purchasers of the book. So you can see, hey, these people actually purchased the book versus reviews by people who are just, kind of paid the right stuff. But I take it as a badge of honor that I was able to upset David Brock and his henchmen and George Soros and everybody that much that they're attacking me for a book I self-published on Amazon, which, oh, by the way, it actually just cracked the 10,000 rank on Amazon, which they're told, I didn't realize this, but they're told that the 10,000 rank, that's unheard of for a self-published book. That's more books than most self-published authors do, especially for their first one. So it speaks to me to the message, the power of the message, and the fact that the Trump movement, just like we saw in Georgia last night, is not going anywhere.
Exactly. And fantastic. Your book is fantastic. And I would urge everyone, folks, to grab a hold of get a copy. Go to Amazon.com, get a copy of Citizens for Trump. And congratulations on that ranking. I held that ranking for about, maybe 15 seconds on my book. So,
you'll have to
maybe
check after the interview.
Yeah. But fantastic. Great job on the book. We loved it. Any closing thoughts to give you 2 minutes?
Yeah, well, I would say, probably the biggest things that we're seeing right now facing. So Georgia's election, right? And we've all been talking about that. What does it mean? The Democrats, I kind of said that the Democrats, they're not a party anymore now. We have to point out the fact that they are a fringe group of bicoastal elites that are taking money from left-wing billionaires, but apparently they've forgotten how to win elections, which is something you actually have to do if you want to be a viable political force in the United States. So they've completely forgotten how to win elections because they realize you can't run elections on "we hate Trump, Trump's a Russian, and you guys are all liars." They've got no ideas. They're out of it. But at the same time, there was a lot of motivation on the Democrat side. There was a lot of money that went on the Democrat side, $40 million. And a lot of people are laughing about the fact, oh, they spent $40 million and lost. But there are donors there. There is money there that's going to be going against Trump in 2018. And there's going to be money, and there's going to be all sorts of national forces that are allied against. And we're already seeing it, that they are focusing their number one enemy of and targets for the Democrats, the DCCC, the Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee, is going to be pro-Trump Republican congressmen or pro-Trump candidates running against Democrats in these districts. So we need very much to have from the president a clear list of accomplishments and a clear set of accomplishments by 2018. We want to see that wall getting built. We want to see more work on these rolling back some of these amnesty programs like DACA and the Dreamers, working very hard on the travel ban, more wins in the Middle East and North Korea, so that when people go into 2018, they can realize that the Trump agenda is getting through. The Trump agenda is getting pushed through. Infrastructure. I can't believe I missed that one. Yeah, infrastructure, that bill, which is getting worked on by Steve Bannon as we speak. He's working very hard and putting together that $1 trillion infrastructure bill. And what's great about that bill is that there isn't money in there for the borders of Afghanistan and Libya. It's for the United States.
Fantastic.
Jack Posobiec, thank you so much for joining us. We will talk with you and hope to have you on again in the near future. You have a great evening.
Travel safe.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much. Citizen Trump.
All right. Have a great night. We'll be right back after this break. Don't go anywhere.